Well, hello everyone. Here to show you the weather photo by hand coloring right here. As you see right here, as I went ahead and drew right here, is a photograph. Say hand drawing a picture right here. So you say is a tornado right here. Is that most of us have seen them before. It's like I know I've seen them on pictures, of course, many a times, but then of course on TV, but didn't just never. You've got what you call real close up to them, but no, my parents have. It's like knowing about that. It's like with tornadoes. That you probably say that they are not like a roller coaster. That's for sure. That they I don't know compared to a roller coaster that knowing about. It's like what you call. It's like with the tornado, the way the way the rotation works. Of course, is knowing about the way it rotates, and then of course, you got that right here. It's like what you call a cone shape right here. You got the cone shape. Go ahead and draw. It's like is like with the tornado right here. You got the cone shape, a circle rotation of the wind speed. It is about right here, and then knowing about this, like with the debris that whenever it touches down on the ground, that knowing about that. I was just thinking about this could be what you call maybe a real scene right here, but knowing about that with this part of the hand drawn say picture is knowing about this I don't know if it could be what you call maybe like a town like maybe Joplin or any part of Nebraska or wherever, but anyway you have is like the tornado touchdown right here, and then of course it would take out anything, power lines or any houses or anything that are out that way. But other than that you have right here is you got it's like the details right here is like with the tornado that knowing about. It's like if you were to standing at about, if you stand about right here, if that would be about maybe 7 see here about maybe 200 or 300 miles, something like that. Some 300 miles of more like maybe 300 feet, something like that. Is like that would probably be about maybe about maybe about 4.5 say miles. It is it's like if you were quite distance away from say from the tornado it was. But anyway, that you have it right here is like if you were to what you call it is like that. With most times that if anybody were to be like what you call a storm chaser, it's like knowing about. I thought about maybe being one, but knowing about how dangerous of course could be. But other than that if you were to have see here a few clouds, it is. But anyway, I remember that whenever I was in the fourth grade, I think it was that whenever I was in fourth grade, that this reminds me of a video that that we were talking about tornadoes at one time, and then that the teacher was asking about this, like with tornadoes, that we would do different activities such as what you call read books and stuff and study about how the clouds form. It's like how they mix from hot air, you say, to cool air, and then how it causes the rotation. And I think we even talked about hurricanes too, and then along with water spouts, stuff like that, the different things that the weather does. But then of course we were also talking about tornadoes and knowing about how they formed, and I was mentioning to the teacher that I'm like, that I got a video called Killer Twisters. It is Killer Tornadoes. It is, and I think it was a video that was recorded. It's like on like the Discovery Channel. It was. And of course, I don't have the tape anymore. Don't know exactly whatever happened to it, but knowing about how to study about the tornadoes, and in a lot of ways, I keep thinking that I'm like, that we were coming in, from recess time, and I remember that that after it was like science class. Whenever a lot of kids would come in, it's like from playing out on the playground, that we would we would go to science class. It was. And knowing about coming in from break, and then when we come back, it's like knowing about that that it's like she had the TV. I remember that a lot of times in the schools that they had the TV. They would have to bring a TV in, I think, from the library room or anything like that. But she would bring a TV into the classroom and have it on. asked me, "Did you bring the video?" And I kind of gave her that look. I can still remember giving her that look, like, actually, I don't know where it is or something. And I kind of looked at her like, "Just kidding, here it is." So she would pop it into the VCR, and we would watch it. And I remember that not about the weather, but I would be kind of paranoid about the fact about, it's like, if do I have a fear, because I remember that whenever, if I were to bring something to school, a lot of times I always thought that anything that they would teach you there at the school, if it was anything related to maybe tornadoes, anything that you could think of that you could bring from home or whatever you call it, more likely that's like, if you kind of get that hyperness and stuff, that knowing about that, yeah, that well, that this stuff is pretty much different from what we're learning in school and stuff. But anything I would bring from home, of course, I would always think that I'm like, really, that anything that I have, I don't know if it will be good education for the class or not. But that knowing about the fact that, yeah, those similar stories, and knowing about anything I would bring from school, that they could probably think about if it's a show and tell, or if it's what you call, if you try to teach us just by drawing a picture, it is knowing about, yeah, what you gonna draw next, huh? Like, well, let's just say if I maybe could you say draw, it's like maybe a few rain droplets right here, as I show the rain droplets, and of course with from what could be beyond this land, within about I don't know, maybe 100 I can draw a few trees. Of course, you got a few trees from far away. What could be on this land, of course, it's like there any houses or anything like that. But knowing about that with the tornado sirens, I can more likely that within about several few miles it would be like what you call a tornado. It's like those counties, those sirens and stuff. I can go ahead and draw one of those. At about, if there will be one that's like maybe a service, a radio tower, anything like that, go ahead and draw one of those right here. And if there would be like a horn right here that would sound in case if there was a warning in your area, it is. But other than that, the details about the show and tell, of course, is knowing about the details that if you want to put into a coloring, it's like you add a few trees right here. But other than that, I guess I could maybe use trees as like an example, or I could maybe use like say go ahead and use, it's like one of my favorite colors is blue. Go ahead and add like a power line, and a lot of times in like in storms and stuff like that, you could probably think about one of the most common things about storms, it could be a severe thunderstorm, or it could be what you say is a tornado watch or warning. A lot of times the most common part about it is that it would take out, a lot of times the power would go off, and then a lot of times even with high winds, if there's no tornado, of course, on the ground, especially with high winds, they could probably think about with real high winds, that a few of the power lines, I guess, are not designed really to take really a whole lot of high wind pressure. It is. It's like you got the high winds right here, and with those high winds, is knowing about this, like what you call, usually they use like red and yellow, whatever you call it on Doppler you say radar or something like that, about it, knowing about if it's mixed with any hail, and go ahead and maybe draw like what you call some examples of hail, if like there would be maybe some hail that would come down. But anyway, talking about with tornadoes is knowing about if you're in a say clear site, they could probably recommend it, knowing about no matter if you are about maybe 150 feet or so away from a tornado, it is they could probably say that don't put yourselves at risk. It's like knowing about that, that with a lot of people would probably think about that, it's like that there was a tornado within about less than 200 or 300 mile, 200 or 300 feet, I guess you say that would be about maybe 3.15 or so miles. It is maybe about maybe 10 miles away, something like that. Then more likely that you probably think about that, right now, like knowing about hey, you shouldn't be near the tornado, and it's like with the high winds, and a lot of people probably think about that. Yeah, it sounded like a train was coming, but other than that is knowing about that. Yeah, that knowing about between not about from where the tornado is, but knowing about that you need to be in a clear path away from the tornado and stay away from windows and get to a nearest shelter, a nearest basement it is. And a lot of people will probably think about that. Yeah, with the tornado is knowing about if you are within about maybe 100 feet away from it, then if you're out driving on the road, it is that more likely that know that hey, that if anything get to a near creek or overpass, wherever, any place where it's sturdy and then where it's safe, that you think that you can take cover at. But other than that knowing about is like, yeah, with the hand, with that photo by hand, it's like knowing about that. Yeah, I could put more details into the picture, but knowing the basic idea is knowing about that. Yeah, about the study of tornadoes is knowing about when hot air and cold air mixed, and knowing about the different things that they can do. But other than that, is talking about with the photo is like what you call weather photo by hand coloring.